What's up, Mortgage Coach community? Dave Savage. Today, I'm interviewing Brad Lingle. Brad, you're in Folsom, California, just outside of Sacramento. Is that
I
right?
sure am. That's right.
And are you doing business pretty much within an hour of Sacramento, or is there a different market than that, or is it smaller or bigger than that?
For the most part, mostly in Sacramento, but it's narrowing down to what we call the 50 corridor, which is Highway 50 as opposed to Highway 80. So it's a thinner stretch as I mature in my business. I'm driving less and less.
Nice, congrats on that.
Yeah,
And
thanks.
you're killing it. You got on my radar. I have noticed that you've gone from white belt to
Yeah,
black belt
right.
pretty quickly. You're halfway to being a red belt with over 500 TCAs. So
Awesome.
what got you to that point? Like, what was the why that got you? Because you were already pretty successful before you started using Mortgage Coach. What was the why for getting after it?
That's a great question. And again, Dave, thanks for having me on. It's a real honor. I've watched a lot of the videos, so it's nice to be on the video now. But I think it was accumulation of a couple of different things that happened at the same time. One is we were getting into a very, very competitive marketplace. And I do not work necessarily for a discount lender per se. And I just was getting shopped again and again and again. And the way I've been trained, the way I've been coached in my different coaching programs is that I don't sell rate, I sell service. And I was just really losing out on really getting hammered on rate. And I didn't want to ask for subsidies all the time. At the same time, I'm not very creative. I'm just really, I'm a very good implementer. So as I started hearing more about Mortgage Coach, and then there were some opportunities within Guild for that partnership with Mortgage Coach, I just decided I needed to dive in. Years and years ago, I had bought this as an individual loan officer at a different company, and I just didn't have the time or inclination to work on it. And then this second time around, I just decided to dive in. And so I set up all my settings and watched the YouTube videos and learned how to use it. And success breeds success. And as soon as I started sending them out, I was getting emails that were positive back and quick closes and less or no subsidies and less shopping. And so I just jumped on it as a way to provide a good service, a top-notch service, high technical service that answers the questions without having to be on a call for 45 minutes.
I love it. I love it. So before our interview, I reached out to Shayla Gifford today, by the way, and I said, hey, I'm interviewing Brad. Any suggestions on questions? And she said, before being a mortgage guy, he was an attorney.
Yeah.
And yet you have become someone that adopts change.
Yeah.
You're evolving. So I don't know, talk about that a little bit. Has your personality changed? Has it just become more clear to you that you need to change to thrive in the future? What is it that's driving that change, given that you came from a different kind of background?
Well, the mortgage industry was thrust upon me because I was fired from being an attorney. I made a $38 million mistake on a land transaction, and that was pretty much the end of that. So I kind of had no place to go, and so I ended up doing mortgages. But I do bring a detail and a professionalism, I think that's a little bit different than because of my background and my education. And along the way, I just learned that here locally, and then when I got into different coaching programs, there's just other people that did it better or do it better than me. So whacking me at the knees, being fired from my chosen career just completely crushed my ego, and I had to rebuild it. And as I rebuilt it, I decided I'm gonna start watching and learning and seeing what other people do. And when the people above me are in coaching, or the people that have a higher conversion ratio or are doing more volume, I ask, how are you doing it? What are you doing? And so I've always been willing to, I think I'm pretty coachable, willing to change and adapt to a marketplace that is different. I'm not interested in moving companies. I want to stay within the group that I'm in. That's very disruptive. But how can I sell better? How can I be more of a consultative approach and strip out being, the lowest rate in town? And well, certainly Mortgage Coach helped out with that.
Love that. What is your production right now? What kind of volume are you doing, both lead flow and loan volume?
We're above capacity. I am staffed. I have 6 people on my team. I'm staffed for about 30 loans a month. And we just actually broke a record today. My team funded 50 loans for the first time ever. So we are now doing roughly $17-18 million a month. A lot of refinances. Purchases are really picking up. And everyone's been full steam ahead. It's been a slow build to find the right people and the right process. So yeah, we're having a great year. I mean, geez, I'm finally at a point where I can be somewhat choosy, if I can use that, on who I'm interested or who I'm really willing to do a deep dive on. You know, people that, well, they don't appreciate myself or my process or respect my team and how we do it, then I usually say, maybe I won't be able to meet your expectations. But, and what's happening is the more I focus on the people that I really want to be with, and, you know, the parameter is basically, do I want to have a beer with you or not? I mean, that's
Right.
not a high threshold. I'm finding that I'm enjoying the people that I'm working with more and more, because the people that that we don't mesh, they're not in my sphere anymore. So it's more
Wow.
enjoyable.
Well, so, and how long ago was it that you became a full-time loan officer and you left being an attorney? How many years
18
ago?
years. So
So
April
it's
of
been a while.
2003. It's been a long run.
Well, congratulations. And
Thank you.
my takeaway so far in this interview is that you are humble, you are hungry, and you are smart. I mean, you are doing all the right things, being coachable. And I would just ask any loan officer, whether you're new in the business, whether you've been doing it for a long time, are you really as humble as you could be? And just talking to Brad here, you could just feel the humility coming out. And obviously, to do that kind of volume, manage that type of team, and crush it at that level, you got to be damn hungry. And the fact that you adopted Mortgage Coach is basically the IQ test that you're super smart.
Well, I mean, I always try to use analogies when I'm talking with people, and, you know, even on my own team, when we adopt technology, or we have a really robust Salesforce CRM now at Guild, and it's insane. It's so great. The efficiencies that you can gain are tremendous. And so what I learned, not only in everything else, but, you know, obviously on topic here with Mortgage Coach, is that if I can set up a process where I'm addressing questions, getting the clients the answers that they need in a professional way, it's faster and I can do more. I'm spending less time wasting time doing 17 different itemizations when I can do it really quick. And now I have one of my loan officer assistants basically setting up the file. And then we have a process where we're tashed through, and it just allows me to do more in less time. Why wouldn't you want to do that? So it's an easy technology to adapt. You know, it's kind of like, hey, you could be in a covered wagon going across the country, but the jumbo jet's going to fly over you in less time. So why don't you get on the jet?
I align with that logic. So let's talk before we get into a TCA. And I asked for some scripting and sales process. So anybody watch this, we're going to get his scripts. We're going to find out exactly how he uses Mortgage Coach in the sales process. But you said something earlier. You said, I tried to adopt it one time, didn't happen, but this time I did it. And I know that part of it was your why. Like, your why was more personal, more timely. And when you made a decision to do it. But what else? Like, sounds like you started watching Mortgage Coach videos. So it's not about me, guys. It's about the people I interview. You started tuning in. Yeah. So you were filling your head with success in this community. Anything else that you did? Like, what are some other, just if there were like 3 actions that led to the successful adoption? Because you're successful now. You're doing over 50 TCAs a month. Yeah. You've done over 500, so you're a black belt, and you did that in just a little over a year. Yeah. What were like 3 things that you did to help you be successful this time in adopting Mortgage Coach?
Well, again, I'm super competitive. So one of the big things is that when I see other people that are my colleagues and my equals and my competition within Guild and without Guild, then I don't, if they're doing it, and then I'm going to be left behind. So there's a competitive edge to it. What are they doing? How are they doing it? And I'm not. It seemed reasonable to me. I should jump in. Number 2 is, I think that anytime you implement change, people don't like change very much. That's, you know, Isaac's law of motion is, right? objects in motion stay in motion. So if you are still doing a lead tracker by hand and you're not adopting computer technology, there's a hurdle you have to get over. And so I just made a commitment to myself. I just locked myself in a room in my house on some Saturdays, and I just dove in to figure out what am I missing and into learning it. Because, you know, when you start the loan business, when I came from being an attorney and I did my first loan app, it probably took me 3.5 hours to fill the damn thing out. And it was for my own father. And now I can do a loan app in probably 3 minutes. So you have to give yourself some time and a commitment to really stay the course and learn and trust that the technology is there, and you have to learn how to use it in your own way that works for you. Because, you know, how I do it, maybe it's going to be different than than Forcier does it, or Shayla Gifford does it. You know, I don't use every tool. I use the ones that work for me. And then, like I said earlier, I trained my loan officer assistant to help me out with that. I don't want to do every single one. So when I started building my team and I brought on my most recent loan officer assistant in December, I trained him. I said, this is what it's going to look like. The lead comes in. We have a question about a refinance. We trained him on how to set up a new file. And then this is how you do a total cost analysis. I will tell you, I still have to correct things. It takes a long time, but now to a point where I'm not really looking anymore. And that means I jump on a live call with the client, or I do 4 or 5 at the end of the day and blast them all out. And I mean, if I send out 5, 3 are going to come back and just say, I don't need to talk with you, just run the refinance. Let me know what it does. So those 3 things all kind of in line just allowed me to streamline the process so that it's really fast and really easy now. No one's going to do it if it takes forever, but you need to get past the taking forever part before you get really adept at the efficiencies of time.
I love it. I love it. Did you, by any chance, it sounds like you made the commitment yourself, you time block time on the weekends to get it done. I always tell people schedule jam sessions, but make the time to do it. Did you get an accountability partner, whether that could have been your team, like, hey team, we're going to do this. Could have been your referral partners. Hey, referral partners, I've got a new level of service. Yeah. Or it could have been your coach. You know, you have a coach, it sounds like. Did you have an accountability partner that you kind of declared game on with?
No, I've heard I'm one of those unique people that I don't need a whole lot of accountability partners. I'm pretty good at getting up in the morning on my own and getting after it. To me, it's the first 1 or 2 that I sent out and the ease of which it came back without any questions about the rate and the subsidy was the light bulb moment for me. I just said, wow, this is so great. I can slam out 5 of these and no one's questioning me on rate. I hate it. I hate getting questioned on rate because I feel that it dilutes my experience and my expertise. And that's what I pride myself on. That's my brand. I'm not the shiny object. I'm the guy who delivers flat out every time, and I give you a fair deal. I'm just not the cheapest guy in town. And I don't like being compared to that. So this was a tool that I realized very quickly would allow me to get out of that conversation into the conversation I wanted to have, which was not about rate. And, and if you're using it, to me, the conversation about whether you want to buy the rate or buy down the rate is a conversation you should have, not what the rate is. And I'm telling you, I'd say 60% of the time, 70% of the time, people come in, they want to get the lower rate. I say, well, here's the cost. Here's the math for it. Here's how long it takes to recruit. They don't do the rate buy down anymore. So I feel like it allows me to help people out, but I can just be, it was so obvious to me that this was the way I wanted to sell that I didn't need anyone to push me anymore. I just do it automatically.
Love it. So guys, you're probably watching this and YouTube is recording. We do have a live audience in our Facebook group. Looks like we've got Drew in here. What's up, Drew? If you guys have questions during this live interview, just put them in comments down below and I'll get to them. So let's get into some scripting and some sales process. So it sounds like a client comes in, whether they have filled out a full app or they've given you enough information to do a TCA, that comes in. Right now, your assistant does the setup, schedules the time, emails the link to them, and I'm assuming you're showing up in Zoom or some type of virtual environment or getting on a phone call. So am I accurate so far in terms of
Yeah,
breaking
the
down the
only thing that
process?
I do is I prep the TCA with a video on all of them because I'm still the people person, right? I'm a former core student, so I believe in belly to belly and relationships. And so I find that, and this whole thing is like beautiful in a pandemic because the video goes over and I can explain to them what they're seeing. And not only do they get a very thorough explanation in 1 or 2 minutes, but they can see me, they can hear me, and for a lot of people, that's very comforting as well. So I use the TCA, I'll do a video, and then I will send out the video to them. And then if we have an appointment, I'll bring it back up again during the call. A lot of times I don't need to have an appointment afterwards.
And guys, that's a huge, I hear that all the time with top producers, especially this refi market. They'll put a TCA together, they'll forward it to the client via text, via email, whatever the channel they want, and the client's going, I want that one, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that you could do these TCAs any hour of the day,
Mm-hmm.
you and your team could do them, it saves a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also hearing that the customers are even more committed because they picked the option, you gave them options, they picked it, so they own it. And then there's usually more value in what they pick because you're showing the cost over time. So let's share your screen and let's pull up a TCA.
Okay.
Now, what I always like to get scripts and just little words that you use that might be useful to our community.
Sure.
What do you call it? Do you call it a total cost analysis or do you call it something else?
I call it a total cost analysis. Really the reason why I do that is because I put it in the subject line or the regarding line on an email. And I don't know, I may be wrong, but I feel like that's not going to get hung up in someone's spam folder as much as, hey, here's your numbers on a refinance. So I've always called it a total cost analysis for that purposes.
There's nothing wrong about that. That's a good word. It has intrinsic value. It's consumer friendly. But if you had a different name, I wanted to know. And it's not bad if you do. Like we hear all kinds of terms. Now, let's assume I'm a consumer. You sent me the link and now you get me to walk through this. Give me like 30 seconds or a minute. Like, how would you frame this so that I'm a consumer and I have my bearings? I know what I'm looking at here. If you could frame it real quick.
Okay, well, I'm gonna delete out the video here because that's gonna get in the way. So I'll speak in a little bit quicker than normal, but I would say, I always have the name up on the top left so I can greet them. So in this case, I say, hey, Nathan and Gretchen, it's Brad with Guild Mortgage. Thanks so much for the opportunity. I'm really grateful that you reached out after all this time. I put together a couple of options for you to consider based on what we had talked about. And I'd like to talk a little bit further and certainly answer your questions. So the first column on the left is your current mortgage. And I have the loan amount at 286 and your current rate is 3.25%. And you can see that your payment should be about 1942. Let me know if that's off. The other four options we have here are the different options we talked about. There's two options with no cash out, and there's two options with a cash out. And I want to explain the difference between the two, each of the two groups. So on this first column here, you can see that the interest rate would drop down to about 3.125. Now in your case, or in this case, they have an FHA loan. So it would be going from an FHA to a conventional loan. So I'm highlighting now, hey, listen, the interest rate's going to go a little bit lower, but you're also going to drop off the mortgage insurance. So right out of the gates, you're going to be saving roughly $300 a month. Now, the question would be about if you had a question about lower interest rates. There are lower rates, but I want to explain how that works. You could pay 1% of the loan amount. So now you can see that there's a little bit of a difference in the loan amount. I'm rolling it in. You're going to get a lower interest rate, but we need to decide, does it make sense to pay that extra cost? So down here, the difference between those two payments is only going to be, what is that, $37, $27. So what I'm going to do is $2,900, that's 1% of the closing costs, divided by $27 is, what is that? Oh, I did it wrong. 2,900 divided by 27 is 107 months. So that means you have to be in that house, in that loan for at least 8.9 years before you would recoup the costs. So the question is, are you going to be in the house? It's not the rate, it's the costs associated with the rate that makes a difference. If you think you're going to move or keep this as a rental or you're going to sell or whatever you're going to do in less than 8.9 years, then don't pay the cost. It doesn't make any sense. 8.9 years happens to be a long time. So I don't know that I would necessarily do that rate buy down, but that's the analysis that I want you to go through. So without going in, Dave, to the other two, that's how I walk through. And I'm telling you, they never pay the point. You crush Quicken. You want to destroy Loan Deep. Well, I don't know. We're not supposed to talk about other companies on here.
Yeah, let's not do that. Let's not.
Okay.
I mean,
If there are
Quicken,
other people that are
Quicken,
throwing out low rates and they're not explaining the cost and they're wooing people for low rates, this is the way to help people not make terrible financial mistakes. They're brainwashed into buying a rate, and that's not the way to do a mortgage.
I love what you just said. And I'm actually going to share my screen for just 1 second. I want to show a slide real quick. And this slide is so important, guys. And it's not the slide that's important, it's the concepts here. And if you can embrace these concepts, that these are the 3 essentials to getting a smart mortgage decision. And guys, by the way, not only are they the right decision for a family or the right essentials for a family, they are like sales strategy ninja moves as a mortgage professional. Like, first of all, if you're getting into debt and you're a consumer, do you want options? Do you want a fee worksheet that says rate, payment, cash to close, let's go? No, you want options. And by the way, from a sales strategy perspective, if you have options and a family picks one, they own it. They have more ownership over it, and they're picking the option, they're picking you. They're more invested. So it's good sales strategy, and it's in the best interest of the consumer. Number 2, analyze the cost over time. You know, in a time that's relevant to the family. It might be 3 years, 5 years, 15 years. For a family, that's how you make a wise liability decision. What are my options? What's the cost over time? By the way, from a ninja move, from a sales ninja move, you're able to blow up the value. You're showing uncommon transparency, so you're getting trust faster. And if it's a refi, instead of just focusing on the monthly savings, you could focus on the savings over time. So it's good sales strategy, and it's good for the consumer. And then number 3, and I'm going to ask you, Brad, if you ever do this, where you're always looking for strategies to say, hey, family, let's help you pick a good loan that has the lowest cost over the time that you want it. But let's be thoughtful about how we can get you out of debt sooner. So like, what if it's a refi and you're saving $340 a month? What if we use that to prepay your mortgage? Or what if we invested that in an interest-bearing account? So and here's the deal, guys. When you do all 3 of these things, you're earning trust and you're showing up authoritative. So you're getting trust and credibility all at the same time. That is how you optimize conversion. So Brad, do you do that number 3 very often, where you show pre-investment strategies or invest in an interest-bearing account?
Yeah, I really do. It really depends on the client, but there are certain levels of clients that are a little bit more sophisticated, and maybe or when you get a really big savings a month, say on a refinance, I will go into that reinvestment strategy, and I'll show them, you know, it's always the one that maybe is 8 years into a mortgage. They want to save money, but they don't want to extend out the term. And so I'll show them, well, if you kept your cash flow the same, and in the analysis, you can do it really, really quick. And if you pay down the mortgage, it would shorten the term. Or I'll also show, hey, why don't we build a retirement? Let's keep your cash flow exactly the same. You have a $50,000 account now at 5% interest, and you drop $323 in there every month. Your cash flows hasn't changed at all, but now you have $170,000 in 15 years. That would be awesome too. And then that helps them out. Yeah, so it's great. I mean,
all right, so let's do this.
It really gives them the information they need.
So let's wrap this up within 5 minutes. If you could share your screen one more time.
Okay.
And then go to the advice engine where you create the total cost analysis. I want to call out a few things for everybody.
Okay.
You'll notice right now, okay, yeah, let's go into a specific client real quick. Let's go into a client real quick, because there's 2 things I want to show. I want to show, one, how easy it is to add a video in the upper right-hand corner there, guys. You can click.
Okay, you want me to show how to add a video?
Well, let me go back to where you were.
Okay.
Go back to where you were. And okay, you see in the upper right-hand corner, don't click it. He could click and add a video, or he could click and do highlight. where he's highlighting this. So I just want to make sure it looks like Brad is using both of those features a lot. And I would just say in these Corona times, and trust guys, I think, you know, forever, virtual mortgage is going to be a thing. So people are, yes, they're going to want to meet in person again, but they're going to want to get a digital virtual experience. So think of those two buttons is I can put a video on it so that they can see my content, they can see me and connect anytime, anywhere, or I could go into live and I can highlight it. So even if you're in a Zoom, using that highlight feature adds to the educational experience. And you're using, it sounds like those two features on most of your TCAs. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I go about it a little bit differently. Usually I have the preview up and I screen share with the preview, and then I can make live changes, but it's the same functionality.
Okay, cool. Now let's click on settings. I want everybody, if you are a mortgage coach user, click on this feature. You can see that Brad has created 554 TCAs. Woo. And you can see that he's a black belt. He is 452 from his next badge, which will be a red belt, which is
what do I get? Do I get something? Do I get like Ralph Macchio or something? Do I get a bottle of bourbon? I mean, what is it? Or just
maybe a call from me, and
okay.
You get a lot of loans.
Hey, a call from you and a lot of loans works, man.
Yeah, well, and you have the red belt now. So
yes,
you could, like, if you click on your belt, you could download that and figure out some fun and creative ways. No, if you click on the actual belt,
yeah,
you've got a red belt.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. All right.
Belt. All right. So let's stop sharing your screen and let's wrap this up. So I'm gonna show a quick 1-minute video, guys, that shares what other top producers have to say about Mortgage Coach. Brad, while this is playing, I want you to, listen to why other top producers use Mortgage Coach, and then let's close out with your advice to the Mortgage Coach community.
Okay.
And I want you to put on a different hat. Like, you're a team leader, top producer, closes over 300 loans a year, and if you can keep this 50 a month, maybe it'll be over 500 loans a year, or at least in 2020.
Right.
But I want you to put your sales manager hat on, and give some closing thoughts. So before we do that, let me play this quick video for y'all. All right, here goes. Can you hear it, by the way, Brad?
I can't, no.
All right, time out.
To differentiate themselves from.
Can you hear it now?
Mortgage Coach for me is the most important piece of software that we use, and we've got a pretty good technology stack. But if I had just one piece, it would have to be Mortgage Coach.
It is without doubt a piece of technology that you want to invest in. And the reason is it gives not only your loan officers the platform to differentiate themselves from all of the other fee worksheet loan officers in the country, but it also allows for engagement.
And when real estate professionals got to see how professional and transparent and how educational my loan worksheets, my loan presentations were, it completely escalated that learning curve and how I moved up in the mortgage industry.
I never would be where I am today without access to the Facebook page and the YouTube channel. It just gave me access to loan officers nationwide, not in my own little bubble of where I live in, to be able to adopt the same strategies that they're using. It's invaluable.
The fact that all of Mortgage Coach's content is in YouTube, I can go really deep. And that allows me to have my loan officers go there, and it's easy for them to find without having to search all over some of the other mediums.
The TCA, the total cost analysis, allows you to create an experience for a client that puts you on par with the Ubers and the Delta apps and the rest of the way that people want to actually digest content.
I can directly track that the rate of return on my investment using Mortgage Coach is I close 33% more. If you were a company, if you were an owner, and you could increase your conversion by 30% more than you are right now, what's that worth?
So Brad, let's close out with one. Is Mortgage Coach helping you close more loans? Are you getting better conversion, and any feedback you could validate that with?
Well, I've been using it for about a year. I can tell you that my conversion rate overall was abysmal 17% last year in March, about 2019. Today, I just clicked over to 29%. My leads are up, but I'm converting more. And really, the only two things different is I grew my team a little bit, and I trained them to use Mortgage Coach because it's a sales tool that no one else really has or utilizes. And it just sets yourself apart from everybody else. And so if I agree with what Josh Metal said, and I don't know what my exact conversion is from like Jeremy does, but what you're setting yourself different from everybody else. And there's a reason people will come to you again and again and again and refer to you, their past clients or their current clients if they're a realtor, because you add an element of professionalism that is greatly lacking in our industry. Give people a chance to understand and explain what you are attempting to help do for them, and then they will come back, and the return clients, the referrals, the better understanding, the less shopping, it all just goes away. It all fades away. So why wouldn't you adopt a technology that allows you to generate more business faster, more efficiently at a higher profit margin?
So you're getting rate shopped less, and you have less price exceptions in addition to the increased conversion. Sweet.
Absolutely.
And you have gotten good enough at it. Do you think it's saving you time? Do you feel like, I mean, it's saving me time now?
There's absolutely no question that, I mean, if I can send out 3 and 2 of them I don't even need to talk to, and my team takes it and runs with, and I do my little check-ins, it's a no-brainer. It's I mean, I hate to use it, but it's a game changer. For me, it was just a wholesale paradigm shift in how I sold or how I do sell a loan in the manner in which I do it. The technology is there. It's faster, better, and it's 2020. So we got to use the technology.
No doubt. So community, if you're tuned into this, if you're not giving every family a TCA, you're never going to get great at it. And if you're still sitting on the sidelines and you either haven't jumped on the team or you have it, but you're just not adopting it, and I know you're busy. Guys, it's 2020, rates are down. It's a great time right now to kill it, build clients for life, and be as efficient as you can. So it will save you time. Any closing thoughts, anything you want to say, just speaking to your peers, whether it's your guild family or just other loan officers that you know that aren't your competition?
Right. You know what? Even if they are competition, there's enough business to go around this year. And if you think you're too busy to learn it, I would say you're losing money and you're hurting yourself by not using the technology. You don't ride your bike to work anymore. You drive a car because it's more efficient, faster, and it gets you to where you want to be. So think of it the same way. This is a tool to make you better, more efficient, more professional, and generate more commissions. So I don't know why you wouldn't use it. You're crazy if you don't.
Well, I love it, man. It's been a great interview. We've got a lot of value, inspiration. You are an inspiration to the Mortgage Coach community. You are an inspiration to all your peers at Guild. Thank you for being that leader, because it is leadership at the end of the day, guys. If you're watching this, tune into the community. One of the reasons why I do all these interviews is to bring constant stream of leadership with ideas, strategies, and leadership to help you get to the next level. So if you've got value from this, give us a like down below. If you want to sign up for Mortgage Coach, you're not already on the team, there'll be a link in the show notes below. Check it out. Tune into our YouTube channel, subscribe, and tune into our Facebook group. And Brad, your first interview was awesome.
That's a COVID. I like it. Thank you.
Hey, one last thing I forgot to ask you. Are you using HomeBot?
I am, but not as much as I probably could. I had to choose technologies, and I have not done a full deep dive into it yet.
Well, get on it. Turn on our integration. It's super sweet, and we'll save that for our next interview.
I will do that.
All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks, Brad.
Thanks, Dave.